So, what's up, my friends, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of, 15-minute free thinking, your favorite podcast in the world. I tried to set up as able as I could, considering I'm in a bus, and my microphone's kind of precariously balanced, but I'm using a microphone stand with my cell phone, Galaxy S9, by the way, old school. And using the old tools to make new content, but really old content. Because as you all know, if your heart's been sinking, come see 15-minute free thinking. No, I did not plan that. I know it's a fantastic song and it should go on Spotify. The truth is, I made this sign behind me that you can only see on the video version, which says 15-minute free thinking, 719. It's a sign I acquired, a parking sign, a couple decades ago, and I turned it into this Carpo channel sign maybe 10 years ago or so. And ever since I've had this channel, I guess, been able to share my true thoughts on things, my true feelings on what's going on in the world, if you will. Right now, I'm, as I said, sitting in my school bus. I always mention to my subscribers when they're like, "Whoa, what are you in?" I did a full bus tour 4 or 5 years ago when we got it. It's a 21-footer short bus, but I'm sitting on the bed right now, and it's converted, and I've got to pull out 2 couches, one on either side down here, down on the floor level, and then a pull-out table between them that drops down and becomes another second bed for the kids. And we've been camping in this thing for, years and love it. But she needs a little bit of work. I've been trying to clean her out, and I thought, what a great place to have a podcast, because it kind of takes me outside, but I've still got a little bit of quiet privacy in here. It's been a little chaotic in life lately, and I actually love that. It's because summer's here. You get off work and you still feel like you should be getting things done. But here I am on a Wednesday. Anyway, yada, 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 making a podcast. So I'm sitting in my bus here thinking about how delicious these berries are. These raspberries that I just picked out of my garden. And as I was out there picking them, I got this bowl like full to the top, and I thought, how grateful am I to have access to fresh food? And I've said this before, of course. It's not like it's the first time I've grown berries or anything. It's just every time I do it, every time I grow any food, it just feels good, and it tastes better, and it's satisfying to consume things that you've done yourself. And I would imagine it's the same way with ranchers, who have raised their own beef. It's I'm not a vegetarian by any means, but I do try to minimize the amount of meat I eat. But I'm already kind of a scrawny guy, and plenty of people have pointed that out. I've always been skinny. It's just the way it is, I'm between 165 and 185 throughout my life. I don't even know what I weigh. I haven't weighed myself in a couple of years, but yeah, I'm almost 50. I'm getting older. Hopefully I won't be too scrawny of a wise old man. Oh wait, I threw wise in there. How do I know I'm going to be wise? I might be a complete fool. Wait, is the fool wise? Oh, wait, there is a saying. If the fool persists in his folly, he will become wise. Boom. Got it. Nailed it. That worked out, didn't it? I don't make these podcasts or videos to be rehearsed or scripted. This is all from my heart, the things I'm thinking about, from the top of my head. So I apologize if I go off track, although I know a lot of people actually enjoy that, and that's what gives them interest in the podcasts, if you will. And as I've said before, I don't share all of my podcasts on YouTube. A lot of them are just for Spotify. But I want to touch base on a few things about just celebration of life, if you will. And it's the reason I started off in my school bus talking about life, talking about berries, growing your own food. There's a type of wisdom out there which is, I guess, doomerism, where we know something's coming down the pike. There's going to be something that's going to happen to humanity eventually. Could be a meteor, could be an asteroid, right? I mean, most likely not. But, it could be fragments of a comet. It could be a blast from some distant star cluster. It could be a CME from our own sun, which wipes out the entire grid and all the satellites. All these potential things are things I've thought about my whole life. And really, over the last couple of years, I've learned how to manage in the sense that, it doesn't really matter. I mean, even sitting in here in my bus, I have solar panels. Would that matter if there was a, clouds, dark winter, right? People say, well, solar will always work. Well, what if there was a nuclear winter or something? We just don't know. But it's not, in my opinion, worth fretting about. It's not worth building bomb shelters that are, take your entire family fortune and savings. Do what you can. Get yourself some bags of rice and some beans and try to be somewhat prepared if you have a family. But honestly, we never know what's going to happen in this world. We never know what's going to go down. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. I don't know how people feel about prophecy. It's a pretty fascinating topic in the sense that, I've really been into mythology lately, but it's kind of like a resurgence back into it, because I used to be fascinated with, Eastern mysticism. I consistently dabble in different ideas that help me understand the world around me. And the reason I do these podcasts, the reason I take the time to come out here and sit and talk to the world is multifaceted. I'm well aware of the fact that there's a certain amount of ego fulfillment, if you will. I can't help that. I've tried to analyze it and think, is this true? Like, do I get something out of it myself? Well, of course I do. I love getting feedback. You can call that ego, whatever you want. But I love it when people, the emails that I get, the private emails, which I always read, and messages, all messages, there's always one that says, you've really helped me through some hard time in my life. And I've had a couple people who have come to me saying that they were on the verge of taking their own life, and something I said helped them overcome it. And I was, that's hard to even talk about. It's really hard to even respond to people like that. But I do, because I feel obligated, and I care. I care about people. And so that's the bigger reason why I make these YouTube videos, because I care about people and I'm interested in people. It seems to be a path that drags me forward. In other words, when I see things going on in society or in the world, it's hard for me not to talk about it and be fascinated with it. And I go all in. I have the personality type that when I get into something, it's like I'm OCD, I just go full bore, get obsessed with it, learn as much as I can, and then I share some knowledge, maybe make a video about it. Then, years later, for example, I'll watch my own video and be like, oh, I don't remember talking about, electrons and quarks. Oh, what did I say? And then listening to it and thinking, man, I don't remember a goddamn thing that I said in that video at all. Maybe a couple things that you're still aware of. But here's the thing: the brain, the soul, the spirit, the mind, all the different labels we put on, who we are, what we have, how we operate. There's things that we forget and systems that we leave behind. And when you can see that in real time, like I can with my videos, it leads you to wonder, what about other people? Well, I've heard the same thing from a lot of other folks who record themselves. It's the same with musicians. They write a song and they don't relate with that song anymore. Maybe they don't have the same values or believe in the same things they did before. And that's because we're ever changing people. On that note, we should never be ashamed of our arts that we've done before. Don't. Be able to share your early poetry. Just make it aware. Make people aware that this was written when I was younger. It's especially awesome when you can contrast your early art to your later art. And that's why I leave up my YouTube videos from 2011. Because I don't care if people see me, sitting around talking about the same shit I am today, but, 13 years ago. It's, sometimes I watch them to see where I was at, but, I ask myself, why do I not only make YouTube videos, but podcasts? Why do I want to contribute my thoughts to the world? And as I said, it's multifaceted. Part of it is probably like enjoying the feedback. Part of it is wanting to help people. And part of it is this third part that's very difficult for me to even explain, which is an instinctual draw towards leadership that I actively fight against. So maybe I could explain. It's something I've never really talked about, but since I was younger, I've had this feeling that I'm going to be the leader in some cause or event that happens. Perhaps the one that helps people through a major crisis, or I don't know. It's like this feeling. That's the only way I can describe the feeling, that I have to be on the lookout for something that's going to happen. Maybe it's just a fatherly instinct. I don't know what it is. But I felt this way since, my teenage years. And I think, well, of course, we all want to be ready for anything that happens, but this is different. I feel like I want to be a leader. Instantly, the ego kicks in and says, what? You idiot. You're not going to be a leader. I don't mean I don't personally want to be a leader, and that was the point I was getting at. I have a hard time doing it. Like, I'm expected to do certain things at work, like manage, the job site, right? That's fine. I can do it if I know ahead of time, but I still have a difficult time bossing around employees, especially if they're like my peers. It's like telling them what to do, putting them on the lesser jobs. It's hard for me to do it because I want to see people happy and I don't want them to hate me. But then there's a part of me that says this is what's necessary to get shit done, right? To tell people what to do. Somebody has to do it. Why not a person that cares about people? And it's like that epiphany you have where you realize people who care about folks often don't want to be the ones to help them to manage them, because people don't want to be managers because of the hassle, and those are the very people that you might want as managers. And that's what I'm getting at, I suppose. And that would lead me, I guess, to the metaphor, which is philosopher kings. That's what comes to mind. The reason why there are no philosopher kings is because no philosopher wants to become a king. And most kings have no desire to be a philosopher because that forces them to look within and see that they're often full of shit and just looking for power and control, which are two things that you really have to give up in order to, I believe, become completely free from society's grasp on who you are. Like, in other words, no matter how much money you have or how much power you have, you're not free from society's restraints until you've been able to overcome the need to give a shit what other people think, for one. But also, who is meowing out here? I hear somebody meowing out there. I don't see anybody. But, anyhow, let me get to the point here. I want to speak to you all like real people, as if we're hanging out, right? And it's hard to do. There are so many people who put on these acts. Like, it's not their fault. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. People put on their faces, their masks, which everyone knows that they're a character while they're doing their YouTube channel or their podcast. It's not even demeaning. It's not even people who are really intense about it. It's just people seem to speak differently to the camera than they do to people. I do it too. But I'm trying not to, because I'm just trying to talk to people talk to you like I would talk to anyone else, right? I've been trying to do this for over a decade. How do I do it well? And I want to add that I've thought about making podcasts with other people. And I was thinking about this today of why I really haven't. Part of the reason, I'd love to interview folks, but also I thought, part of what I like about making videos is talking to the camera. And how weird would it be to have two people that are both talking to the camera? And I guess you could have folks who turn to the camera to talk and then turn to each other to converse, but that seems weird too. And I was like, how could you do that, But it's something I hadn't really considered, of how I've always enjoyed doing my podcast my way and doing my own thing. I guess it's because I know how partnerships work. If you set it up and you try to, make a whole production. Like, often when I listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video, they're like, oh, we thank you for listening and we appreciate you and our company, yada yada. I'm like, well, I don't got no company. I edited all my own videos over the years, gave up on that because I don't have the time. I don't pay somebody to do thumbnails or voiceovers or any of that shit. Maybe I would if I had more, subs or more money from YouTube, but I don't want ads. I don't want to have sponsorships. I just want to have real people that I can converse with in this crazy fucked up world that we don't really understand and that we're all trying to understand. With that said, I suppose this is more of a introduction, hello, thanks for listening type video. That I appreciate y'all for taking the time to give a shit about what I have to say. I don't take it for granted, folks really need to hear other people speak, but the fact that you chose me to listen to, it means a lot to me. It's not something I just say, oh yeah, I'm great, people want to hear what I have to say. Like, I'm consistently shocked at the amount of downloads I get on the podcasts, which are increasing, thank you all, which is the 15-minute Free Thinking podcast, which I don't advertise or anything, but I pay for every month. So I'm like, well, I should probably share it with people since, I host it. But people find it randomly, just like my YouTube channel, through the tobacco videos and other videos. I've had folks join me. It happened a lot during the Kratom days. But anyway, I'd like to get more into those, make more psychedelic videos. I'm going to be doing one about Special K, but that'll be down the line on my Patreon, which is also available for anybody who would like to donate. And other than that, that's my ramble for the day. It's getting hot, and I think I'm going to maybe make one more quick video after I figure out why my dog's yapping. It distracted me towards the end of my video, but that's okay. I'll go check on her. Anyway, peace and love to all of you, and I'll talk to you next time.